Alright, so lonely. Every time I hit the road again, I have this feeling of calm wash over me. When I'm driving in my car and it's just me and the road, my music and my thoughts, I'm completely enveloped in this complete feeling of loneliness. And that's something that used to terrify me. I've always had kind of abandonment kind of stuff, and I find it easiest to blame it off of being adopted, but I don't know where it springs from. But I did know I wanted to find out why, and I wanted to go face this. So after I graduated college, I packed up my 2004 Saturn Vue with everything I owned, and things that didn't fit I donated or got rid of. And together with my little Chiweenie dog, my little puppy Maya, we started to drive. If you don't know what a Chiweenie is, by the way, it's a little half Chihuahua, half Dachshund. She's really cute and terrible at protecting me. But yeah, me and that little dog, we drove for 6 months. We zigzagged back and forth across America. We hit just under 40 states, and we put 20,000 miles on the odometer. I had to call in like every single favor for this. Called friends and families and ex-lovers, and I slept in beds and on couches and in my car. And we camped a whole lot. It was about the 4th month, we rolled into Rita Blanca National Grasslands in the panhandle of Oklahoma. This place was flat, very flat. I mean, I grew up in Minnesota, and I used to drive down to Lawrence, Kansas, which was a straight shot down I-35. And I used to think that was the flattest part of the country, but this part was, I swear to God, I stood in my car, I could see 100 miles in all directions. It's pretty great out there. At this point in the road trip, I've been driving for a while. I felt tired, and it's 4 months on the road. I didn't know how much longer I was going to be going. My schedule was dictated by the people that I could find to have me sleep on the couch or whatever, so I had no clue where I was going to be the next day, and I started to feel really lost and anxious and really, really alone. So that's where I was when I pulled into Rita Blanca. So there we were, me and the puppy. We set up camp, tended to the fire, I fed the dog, and we went off down to this little creek to skip some rocks. One thing about this dog is, this dog's like my little soulmate. I love this thing. She found me a very good time in my life, and it's a good thing to have around me. During the trip, we talked a lot, and I don't mean like I talked to her, I mean it was like A and B conversations back and forth. We got to know each other pretty well. Good stuff. So, that's my dog. Alright, so we were down there by the creek, skipping rocks, and Maya's the first one that sees them. It's getting near dusk, so their headlights are on. It's 2 cars driving down the road towards us, out here in the middle of nowhere. We were at a primitive campsite, which means there was a circle of rocks on the ground where someone once lit a fire, and that's about it. We were off a dirt road, about 20 miles. I couldn't tell you where the last time I saw an interstate was, but we were out there. And I watched these 2 cars driving straight towards me. So I look at Maya. She tells me that people are coming. I say, yeah, I see them. She said we should run. So we ran. Ran back to camp, sat by the fire, and just watched these people drive across these plains. Saw the dust kicking off their back tires. They ended up pulling up right next to me, in the middle of the country, in the middle of the panhandle of Oklahoma, in the middle of nowhere. They pulled the car up right next to me. I hate to be judgmental, I really do, but when they rolled out of the car, they looked a little, they were dirty. They were dirty. They had some long, thick dreads. They were smoking their cigarettes and pushing each other around in faded flannels, and kind of added to my worriedness. I didn't know who they were, if they're good people or not. When you're in the town, any town, you see hundreds of people a day and you don't bat an eye. But out there, I was just watching these 2 cars. I was terrified of that other. It was just supposed to be me and my dog out here. They must have seen me watching them, since we're the only people out here. Because right when their tent goes up, I see someone walking across the street towards me. So a woman. She's in mid-40s. She was wearing faded camo and ripped Leonard Skinner shirt, and she was looking right at me. She was walking right towards me. And I felt the hairs on the back of Maya's neck go up. Same for me, I guess. And I was just watching her walk up to us. Now, when I camped at other spots, I'd always have a tradition of going into the woods, and I'd chop down some firewood with my machete. And I think I did that just to show the other people how long my steel was, but I don't know. But I figured I couldn't really jump into my tent and grab my machete as someone's walking over. It doesn't look very neighborly. So I just sat there. She shows up. Do you want to come over for some chicken fajitas tonight? Chicken fajitas? Yes. Dinner? I love dinner. That's great. So I walked on up, I grabbed my guitar, and we headed on over there. It turned out that this was a family. It was a mom and her two sons girlfriends. The mom was a really nice lady. She's the one who invited me over for dinner. She was a vet of the first Gulf War, and she'd just been diagnosed with cancer. And not the kind that you get better from, her son told me. I couldn't stop thinking about how out here in the middle of nowhere, down a long dusty road, we just sat and had a family meal. In those moments, I didn't really feel that alone. The last thing I really remember thinking about before I passed out in front of the fire was looking up at all the stars. And we were out in the plains, so all the billions were showing their face that night. And I was looking up there, and I was trying to figure out which one I was. And I remember smiling because I realized it didn't really matter. It took every single one of those lights to make that night so beautiful. Thank you very much.